Welcome into another episode of What Hope Sounds Like. My name is Brian. What do you do when you feel called to ministry, but God takes you somewhere completely unexpected? Well, that's exactly what happened to our friends that we're talking to today, Garrett and Jacq from Cline. What started in the church led them into the country music world, and it turns out it wasn't a detour at all. We're excited to get started in this conversation, so let's jump right in. Hey guys, welcome into another edition of What Hope Sounds Like. I'm Brian, and I am totally excited to be joined by our friends Cline. We've got Garrett and Jacq Cline joining us today.
Hey.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us, man.
This is so awesome.
Feel honored to be here in the Light FM studio.
Oh, man.
We haven't been to the Cove in 18 years, we figured out.
And you're back.
And we're back. We were dating.
Yeah.
Jacq and I were dating last time we were at the Cove.
Your relationship is an adult now.
We're an adult. Now we're married
years.
with kids and gray hairs.
Very serious.
Yeah, I guess it worked out.
It didn't work out.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you here and excited to hear about what God has done and how He has just transformed your lives, your relationship, your ministry, what you're doing in the music scene right now. And we got connected through a Rhett Walker show. You guys are out with Rhett, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the show, but we were out at a Rhett show and just connected with you guys, and we're like, it seems like our people. So we're excited to have you here and
likewise,
be able to talk about the story of what God's doing in your lives. So
man.
We're looking forward. Let's get started by just telling folks about yourself. Who is Cline? Like, what would you describe who you are and what God has called you to do?
Well, we didn't. We tried to come up with a better band name, and it kept not working out. And so we decided, you know what's not going to ever change? Our last name.
It's never changing.
And so Jacq and I have been married for just over 15 years. And then the third member of Cline that's not here today, Rhett Walker stole him from us this weekend, so he's out with Rhett. He's trying to keep Rhett in line, which is an impossible task, as we know. But he's the third member of our band, and it's my brother. So it's very, very much a family thing. And so we started writing songs together. We were in high school.
Wow.
Met in our youth praise band at our church in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And I was playing guitar and bass, and Jacq was the singer, and Derek was the drummer. And he's about 3.5 years younger than me, so Derek was always hanging out with the older kids.
Yeah.
And we just started writing songs. And, the first version of us was like this Christian rock band, but like we were Christians in a band.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to be like Switchfoot,
Yeah.
Go to the secular venues.
Yeah, we were
and
like,
sing about Jesus.
we wanted to be on Tooth and Nail Records. You remember Tooth and Nail? Under Oath.
I don't know
Emory.
Tooth and Nail.
Okay.
I'll tell you that.
This was the rock thing.
I'll tell on myself a little bit here. Where I grew up, it was Southern gospel, bluegrass.
Well,
I didn't know Christian rock music existed until later on in my life, like Stryper and all that stuff. Never heard of it. I was a Ralph Stanley kid,
absolutely.
growing up.
So that's part of our story too.
Yeah.
So my dad was a Southern gospel singer and bass player and weekend warrior, to the point they had a bus and everything.
Really?
They all had full-time jobs, and they would all go do 2-3 nights a weekend on the road.
What was the name of their group?
Greater Desire.
Greater Desire.
And that turned into, as it slimmed down, it turned into True Call.
Okay, True Call.
Yeah.
More modern. I feel like all of the old school Southern gospel has greater or something, greater vision, greater desire, greater. I love that.
So that's where, I was on a bus when I was 3 years old, and I was like, I'm still sleeping on a bus. I don't know what. I guess I just never changed up. But so we had these little rock bands, and we always led worship, in our church. And we just, we were just like, I don't know. There was no plan to it. There was no like.
We were just doing what we did.
We just did what.
And we did it together.
Was in us to do, and Jacq became a poet in that time, and she learned how to write songs, and we learned how to play, and it was all just really centered around our church youth group, and leading worship. And living in Bowling Green, Kentucky, that's like an hour north of Nashville for people that don't know. We always had like unbelievable musicians in our church. Guys that had gone and, Clay Walker's old drummer went to our church.
Wow.
And guys that had played the Grand Ole Opry a bunch were our drummers, and so on and so on. One of the worship leaders had a daughter who dated a dude in Nickel Creek for a while. So Sean was at our church one time, and it's just all these crazy music connections. That's a little, if you're in Nashville, the person serving you is a better guitar player than you,
Yeah,
right? But in
sure.
Bowling Green, we didn't think it was that way, and our church was this breeding ground of musicians. Yeah. So I'm 12 years old playing with a drummer who had done really pro things.
Yeah.
And my dad had done some pro stuff, and we had
the vocalists I stood beside and with, pro levels.
So we really learned how to play, not just lead worship, but literally just like the act of honing your craft from these really great musicians in our little local church, right?
And they're volunteers.
Yeah.
Their heart is just to come and to serve the church.
Right.
So it's a really sweet place to be.
Yeah. So that was all just kind of happening, and then in 2014, we could do a whole podcast on this one little story. So I'm going to try to make this short.
You just tell us when we need to trim it.
No,
this was like a 6-hour podcast. How long is this going to be?
We can,
okay,
as long as the Lord
the
tarries,
6-part series.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
So, like I said, we were playing Southern Gospel. We were leading worship in our church. We were doing this rock band thing while we were in college, and graduated college. We were just kind of serving on staff at our church in like a intern ministry assistant role. And Jacqueline went back to finish her degree at Western Kentucky University.
Okay.
She's in class with this guy named Dallas Wilson, who is now a hit songwriter. Okay. He wrote half of Lainey Wilson's record and all this stuff. But he was in college.
We were both just trying to finish the degree.
Yeah,
just
get out of
time
there.
doing it, honestly. Yeah. So we were both in physical education. Okay. Health. It was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah. So this dude, Dylan Scott, that nobody had heard of at the time, Dallas and his dad were from the kind of same area as Dylan and their family. And Dallas was like, Jack, would Derek and Garrett ever considered going and doing a country gig? Mm-hmm. We had not played, professionally at all to that point. Never went and played on Broadway in Nashville. Never done the thing,
Yeah.
And we just kind of live by this motto still to this day. Our yes is on the table.
Yeah.
We just let's trust God with the doors opening and closing.
And what's in front of us.
That has seemed to be a better way to live, for us. Yeah. And so she's like, I don't know, probably. So within a week, me and Derek are taking off to play with Dylan Scott.
Wow.
Who I think he had just had his first single kind of shipped to radio,
Yeah. At that time, was he headlining or was he just a part
of
other headlining
We
tours?
were in a little black Econoline van.
Yeah.
It was the grind at that point.
No
but
doubt.
the first weekend out, we flew to somewhere in Nevada, I think, and opened for Little Big Town.
Okay.
On this festival.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is like a legitimate operation here. This is interesting. So, we got in there and we started. It turned into 160 shows a year real fast. Mm-hmm. So, kind of what we had felt led to do, we kind of got put on the back burner.
Well, a really practical way is the phone stopped ringing for Cline. And that's something that we had always seen. We were like, okay, Lord, if you want us to go, then you send it.
Yeah,
you
bring
send
it. Yeah.
And the phone would ring. And every weekend, Cline had something. And then all of a sudden, when God shifted the assignment to Dylan, the phone stopped ringing for Cline.
Wow.
So it was very obvious that
lined
this
up.
was where we were supposed to be for this season.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of put our stuff on pause.
Yeah.
This was where we needed to be. So.
It's your stereotypical, here's point A, God, I think this is point B, and you think it's going to be a straight line.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And God goes, no.
Wait,
hold
on.
Yeah. Here it is. Yeah. And you get a better workout that way.
You sure do.
Yeah.
So we're stepping out. You talk about stepping out in faith. I'm like, God, how is country music how you're going to bring us to what we feel called to do?
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because for those listening, it's why would you step away from your ministry to go in a secular space? Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, well,
and we just what happened was we stepped into the ministry that God had for us.
Yeah,
we didn't know it because the ministry that He had for him was being on the road backstage or after the shows and connecting with those people and talking about Jesus, asking them about their lives. And what God did with me was I went and I was a part of our college ministry. I never planned on working at a church ever.
Wow.
I wanted to travel. I wanted to make money. That was about it.
Yeah.
And God assigned that to me. And so we had ministry that when we met, we immediately ministry together. Mm. And so this was the first time in our lives where we weren't in a shared ministry space. And God did some really stretching and growing and It was a challenging season in ways, but a very beautiful growth season for us as our own ministers, not each other as one.
Didn't have each other to lean on in those moments, but you
and it was necessary because now I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I learned that. Then. Yeah. You taught me how to minister through this in that season, and to walk with people that, in college world, I was a little bit older when I went back to school, but they were living a very different lifestyle than I was when I was a newly married woman.
Right.
And so I was getting 3 a.m. calls to go pick up girls that I was pouring my life out into to get them from horrible situations.
Yeah.
Or I was getting calls to go do something fun that we should not have been doing. Yeah. Not anything illegal, but there were some things I got to have a lot of fun in this season of life. But man, it just really shaped us as ministers. Yeah. And we had no idea that was going to be a part of
and get this, we went when this call from Dylan came, we went and talked to our pastors. Said, hey, this is crazy. Like, I think this is what God wants us to do. And instead of going, all right, good luck, or being mad about it, our lead pastor said, yeah, it's exactly what you need to do. We care about people coming to know Jesus, and guess where lost people are?
Yeah, they're at country
festivals.
Yeah.
And so they kept us on staff the whole time we were traveling in country music.
Wow.
So, but that grew and grew and grew. We got the opportunity. The producer that was producing liked our band, so we got to play on the records and got to play on some of those big hits, and learned how to record music.
Yeah.
Made all these relationships with people in Nashville that we would have never known. We never moved to Nashville. Right. We never went and did the networking things. We did nothing that you're supposed to do to go make it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it just grew and grew and grew to the point where it got pretty good.
Uh-huh.
So Jacqueline's picking up girls at 3 a.m. and I'm eating Luke Bryan's catering.
Oh, I was going to say, Isn't that funny, though, how y'all were literally put in the same... in the same place, dealing with your own, I'm ministering to these people that I've been put, and you're separate.
Yeah.
You're in the college space dealing with probably some folks that we'd see at Waffle House at 2 a.m. in the morning in a college town, and then you're on this country tour. Talk about that environment and just kind of what you experienced as a part of that, what you saw and how your faith grew in that time.
I tell you, the biggest thing is I had amazing parents, and I had amazing pastors. And I was 25 when that started.
Yeah.
Okay. All the foundation I needed was there. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't go, well, I'm going to go party for a few years and then build my testimony,
a Christian Rumspringer or something.
Yeah. I had this foundation of what it meant to be an actual follower of Jesus.
Yeah.
In some of those environments, what it meant to be a professional.
Yeah.
Also, this is how God chose to feed my family for that season. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I was really fortunate. My brother Derek was there with me, and we had some other brothers on that camp that were just solid Christian dudes. And so, if anything weird or squirrely started happening, if women found their way backstage, we were together, man.
Yeah.
We had each other's backs. We protected each other.
Yeah.
And that just speaks a lot to the brotherhood and community of that.
Yeah.
And you talk about faith growing. There were nights, especially toward the end of our journey there. I kind of learned how to deal with depression and sadness, because I was in this environment. I was in these environments that Jesus talked about him being in. Yeah. He was with the sinners and the tax collectors. Mm-hmm. It's really safe to be in the staff meeting at church for me, or it was for me. It was a very safe place.
Yeah.
Hey, we got the same mission, vision. Most of us live pretty close together. We got the same,
We've lived in Bowling Green for 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm out here watching people quite literally kill themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, rescue these people,
Wow.
And that was really hard for me. And especially towards the end of our journey, we had kids at home. Jacqueline's trying to basically raise these 2 boys. I say she's a single mom, but, while I was at work. And you start learning how to trust God, man.
Yeah.
Because, it's like God, we always know better than God. God, what seems better to me is for us all to be together.
Right.
And we just go do ministry every night, and
It looks this way.
it looks this way, and God's like, no, it's not time for that yet.
Yeah.
And then he, I don't know how else to say it other than I felt like he released us.
Yeah.
And thankfully Derek and I got to depart from that camp at the same time. Because I was kind of thinking like, I don't know. I just didn't know how this was going to go.
Right. Yeah.
And so we felt like God released us, and again, it was yes is on the table, and that was really hard. And so kind of how that all started was COVID hit, and we were supposed to be on this big arena tour, okay? And one show got canceled, and then the next show got canceled, and then the next week got canceled, and then here we are, we're all in COVID mode, okay? So I'm freaking out. I don't know how we're gonna pay our bills. I don't know how we're gonna do any of this. And over that, this is one thing that I hate about Jacqueline, is she listens to Jesus faster than me. And she said, I'll never forget, she said, Garrett, we have such a beautiful opportunity to trust God right now.
This conversation, a great reminder that sometimes what feels like a detour is exactly where God is working. And for Garrett and Jacq, the story doesn't stop here. We're excited to bring you part 2 of our conversation coming up next week, because what comes next, well, it stretches their faith in ways that they never expected. So if you've ever been in a season where you're learning to trust God more than ever, you don't want to miss this next episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. That helps us get the message of hope out to more people. We appreciate you joining us today, and that is what hope sounds like.